Hopefully I don't look too shy.
I'm recording.
Okay.
All right. What's up, everybody? This is Pedro Moore with Earn Interest. Today we have a lovely guest, Tracy Prigmore of TLT Solutions. How you doing today, Tracy?
Good morning. How are you, Pedro? Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you as well. Good to see you as well. Well, thank you for being my guest on this talk show today. I wanted the chance for everybody to kind of hear your story, how you got into real estate, et cetera, et cetera. But kind of starting off, can you tell me who is Tracy Prigmore?
Sure. Well, I'm a mother and a wife, and a real estate investor and developer. I founded my firm TLT Solutions in order to be able to empower people to build wealth through commercial real estate. I started investing as a hobby, pretty much to supplement my retirement income. Really
Hmm.
became passionate about making money through real estate, taking older things and renovating, making them beautiful again, and then renting them out. I did the rent to hold strategy and was able
Okay.
to build financial independence at what I consider level one, because would of course like to make a lot more, but it was empowering to be able to know that you didn't have to go to work if things weren't working out for you. Gave me an opportunity to really focus on what I really wanted to do versus um, required to go to a job. So once I
Hmm.
was able to create passive income that gave me enough to have housing and food, the essentials, uh,
Absolutely. Financial
it was
independence.
that freedom and uh, feeling to just decide, what's important to you, what's your passion, what do you want to focus on. So I
That's
want
that's
everybody to have that feeling. Yeah.
that is awesome, awesome. Financial independence. That's one of the first things I learned about wealth creation through a book, Rich Dad Poor Dad. That's one thing he always emphasized. What triggered you to think about financial independence? What was that thing that really got you on that path?
Rich Dad Poor Dad,
Oh,
actually.
well, okay, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So, I came to realize though subconsciously something was going on inside of me when I read that book. So I was living in New York and I had a job that I really didn't enjoy. And the values of that company were not in alignment with my personal values.
Hmm. Hmm.
And so I struggled with whether to stay there or find another job. But I was young and it felt, it didn't feel good to be in a situation where you weren't enjoying work. Every day I went to work, I had knots
Yes.
in my stomach. And
Hmm.
so when I decided to take the leave of absence, I came down to Washington, and a friend had recommended this financial advisor to me. And she had this as a part of her onboarding process to read Rich Dad Poor Dad. So she had given me
Okay,
a copy,
okay.
and I read the book, and it really, excuse me, changed my life and my focus on what was important. And so from reading that book and then reading Cash Flow Quadrant, excuse me,
Okay. Sure, sure, sure.
excuse me, let me get a drink here.
No problem. So that's great. Rich Dad Poor Dad, Cash Flow Quadrant. Those are some of my favorite books
Yeah, yeah,
as well. And it's
yeah,
amazing how his books still today. I think he wrote those books in the '90s, maybe. Is that right?
yeah.
And we're in 2020, and those books are still great for even for today.
Yeah, they're still fundamental. I mean, there's a lot of expansion on the
Yes.
thoughts. And I mean, Robert Kiyosaki, he continues to write many different books about wealth
Yes.
creation. But that's a fundamental one that anybody can understand.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so
Yes.
that's what put me on my trajectory toward investing in real estate. But subconsciously, a lot was going on as I went to college. Back in my generation, parents were very persistent about go to college, get a
Mhm.
good job.
Mhm.
I mean, that was
Mhm.
just pound into me and my
Yes.
generation over and over again.
Same here.
And so I did that. I went to college. I went to grad school. I had a good job, and I was
You
making good
checked all the
money,
boxes.
checking the boxes. But I'm like, something is not, is missing. And to go through a situation where you don't like your job or the people you're working with, And then I felt like they were sabotaging me at work. And so I think subconsciously, when I read that book, and I didn't think about this until last year when I was being
Okay.
interviewed, that I think in my mind, I was thinking jobs are not secure, right? Having a job is
That's
not
one of the things he talks
secure.
about. Yeah.
And so as I read that book, it really motivated me to do something. Although I still was looking for a job, right? And I did get a
Yeah.
job and still worked and invested at the same time. But I was like, oh, I have to create this financial freedom. What he's talking about makes a lot of sense.
Yes, it
So,
does.
of course, I didn't have a lot of money. And so I just started buying one home at a time, one at a time.
Mm-hmm.
And they call it hacking now. No, maybe that's not hacking. I heard that on a call. See,
Oh.
there's new terms now, but I would, I don't know. I guess house hacking is when you live there. Maybe, I'm not sure. But I heard somebody say that.
Oh, so you live there, kind of rent out rooms or something like that?
No, I think they
Oh.
call it when you buy a place, you move in, fix it up, and then you move to the next place and make it a rental. I think that's what house hacking
Oh,
is.
okay.
I heard that on it's the new generation, right? They're talking.
Yeah.
But what I did was I didn't do that, but I would buy a house, fix it up, and lease it out, and then once it was at this value, I would do a refinance. So I'm not sure if
Okay.
it's considered house hacking too, but refinance, pull the cash out, buy another
Mm-hmm.
house. You know, so I
Gotcha.
continue to buy homes, and then of course my first home I made a rental as well, and I'm actually selling it after 20
Oh,
years.
wow.
Yeah, so it's on
Wow.
the market now. So
Okay.
yeah, so
Awesome.
I did it the slow way. I mean, you
Okay.
need one house, fix it up, get another house, as many as I could buy. But then in 2005, I think 2006, somewhere around there, remember everybody got into real estate and
Yeah.
the prices were being escalated. And then,
Mm-hmm.
there was the big boom
Mm-hmm.
before the bubble burst. And so at that time, I stopped buying. I didn't buy anything for like 5 years because
Oh, wow.
there really wasn't a lot of good opportunities. I'm sure there were maybe in some other cities, but I was working a full-time job, but I didn't buy anything for 5 years. But in that time, I was like, well, I'm going to invest in commercial real estate. So I need
Okay.
to figure out how to invest in commercial real estate. So I
Mm-hmm.
started taking classes,
Okay.
CCIM. Are you familiar with CCIM?
No, I'm not. Well, what's CCIM?
So it stands for, excuse me, Certified Commercial Investment Member, which is a weird name.
Okay. Okay.
I think their focus is really on certifying brokers or agents to
Oh,
sell commercial
okay.
real estate. I was an agent at the time. In fact, when I started investing in real estate, I found it challenging to, excuse me, find houses, um,
Okay.
and get the right price. And so I
Mm.
decided to go get my license because I didn't want to have to go through somebody. So I went
Oh,
and,
okay.
I
Okay.
went to a
Gotcha.
crash course, took off a couple of days of work, drove to Ocean City and took, like 8 hours, 3 days in a row, got my license.
Ocean City, Maryland?
Yeah, it was
Okay. Okay.
back in the day, you couldn't get your license online. Now you can get your
Gotcha.
license online.
Gotcha.
So I received my or not agent's license first, then I went on to get my broker's license. But that was just so I could control my destiny of finding properties.
Mm-hmm.
So I got off track a little bit, but so I had my license, and so I heard about this class, the CCIM class, Commercial Real Estate 101, and what have you. So I took the first class in person. They didn't have online back then. They're all online now, but
Yeah.
I would literally take a week off of work and go.
Hmm.
These classes were 1 week. They were Monday through Friday, and you had to take an exam at the end of it.
Okay.
It was all day, Monday through Friday. So there were a series of 5 courses in commercial real estate. And again, I think they were designed more so for brokers, but as an investor, I didn't know anything about commercial real estate.
Sure. Sure.
So I'm the type of person before I jump into something, I have to get myself educated before I can take on
Mm-hmm.
those
Mm-hmm.
risks. And
Mm-hmm.
I found those classes to be very, very, very helpful and insightful into commercial real estate. So some were just, the first one was like the basics. And then there was, the financial analysis, the market analysis, I forgot what all the 5 were, but I took all 5 and did exceedingly well in them. But I wasn't worried about getting a certification or doing what. I just needed to understand. And it was in that class that the professor, Byron, I remember his name was Byron, starts talking about syndication.
Okay.
Before that, I thought that only like really rich people owned commercial buildings. I never really thought of it, right? It wasn't really something that I was in healthcare. It wasn't something
Yeah.
I really
Yeah.
thought about who owns this building or what have you. In healthcare, we owned our own hospitals, we owned our own ambulatory care centers, all of that. So I didn't think, that I would be capable right away in owning commercial real estate. So it was something I aspired to. I was, oh, okay, I can play Monopoly. I'll get my houses, get enough houses, cash them. It's going to be a long road, right? But
Yeah.
that was what I was thinking I would do. And then when he mentioned syndication, I said, wait a minute, what is that? And so he
Yeah.
wanted to explain and mentioned a book called It's a Whole New Business that was written by, the guru of syndication,
Oh,
Ian
wow.
Bridge. And
Okay.
so immediately, okay, so back in the day, I went online, ordered the book. You have to wait for it to come. I couldn't wait for the book.
So no Prime was there. You couldn't get in 2 days.
Right, it's a big binder. And so I'm like, that is my ticket. That is my strategy. I will
Yeah.
become a syndicator. I have a little bit of money, and you need a little bit of money to be a syndicator.
Correct. Correct.
Depending on, that's relative, but I'll become a syndicator. So I got the book and I read it front to back. And then he, in the book, it talked about his, face-to-face classes. I flew to Las Vegas by
Oh,
myself,
wow.
took the class, and I was like, that is my key to syndication.
Yeah.
Now I have to figure out what asset class that I want to focus on.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was already in the residential market. So multifamily started, that would be fine. Looked at some retail strip centers and things like that. So when we were in class, we talked about the core asset classes, and we talked about the special asset classes, and hotels was one of the special. But when he said that, it's like hotels, whatever, next.
Yeah.
I didn't never thought that for me at that time, hotels were big box Hiltons and Marriotts, things that I would stay in. When in the job at the time, I was a consultant for a large healthcare system. So I traveled all around the country visiting the different hospitals. And so I stayed in hotels. I practically lived in hotels. In fact, my corporate office was not in Maryland where I lived at the time. My corporate office was in Denver. So I had to go, I had to travel to corporate office for meetings. So I was always in hotels, but it never crossed my mind that I could own a hotel. That was an option. I did not know that.
Yeah.
And then I read an article about Marriott's strategy of franchising. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. And I still didn't, I read the article, Bill Marriott was on the front cover. And then one day I bought a condo in Florida. Okay. And I was going there, to furnish it. It was, going to be a vacation rental and something I could enjoy and use. That strategy. And so I was looking for a hotel that was inexpensive, that I could spend a couple nights while I was waiting for my furniture to be delivered. And I found the Hampton Inn for $99. And I thought, oh my goodness, $99, close enough to my condo, which was on the beach. Although I was used to staying in full service hotels, because when we traveled for work, we would stay in these full service hotels. So when I got there, the lady it was pretty new, and it was very nice. And she said, we have free breakfast. Here's your thing for free breakfast. And we have free Wi-Fi. Here's your code. And so for the younger people, they won't understand that. Back in the day, we had to pay for internet when you were in a hotel. It wasn't
I remember that too.
And she's like, I was like, free breakfast? Like the hotels I stayed in didn't have free breakfast or free Wi-Fi. It would be $14.95 a night. Okay. So I was like, wow, this is a bargain. So I just remember being in my room thinking, God, this is a very nice room. It's as nice as any room, that I've stayed in for the most part. Right. And it was new, and it was done by Turnberry, which was a big developer in Miami. And so I remember distinctly waking up. I remember, well, actually that night before, talking to a friend and saying, I'm staying in this thing called the Hampton Inn and it's like a really good bargain. I was like, this is a bargain. And then I woke up the next morning with an epiphany. I should buy a hotel.
There,
It's
yeah.
the weirdest thing
Awesome.
because I worked in a hotel in college. I had a relationship with the owners because they lived upstairs. Nowhere in my mind was I could, in the
Yeah,
past,
have one
I
of
used
your own.
to
Yeah.
be in hotel ownership. I worked there, 7 to 3 on the
Mhm.
weekends, 3 to 11 during the week.
Mhm.
But never thought about that. And I'd forgotten I had worked at a hotel when I started working at a hotel until somebody mentioned one day, why did you choose hotels? And I was like, oh my goodness, I was a front desk clerk. It was the 80s. So it was, college, right? And so I was always
Yeah.
focused on healthcare and medicine. So um, anyway, long story short, when I woke up with this epiphany that hotels should be my asset, that I could buy a hotel, I decided that I was going to focus on hotels as my commercial
Mhm.
asset class. I wanted
Mhm.
something that I could get excited about. And
Yes.
because I traveled extensively for work, I was very familiar with the main chains and I
Yeah.
liked a
Mhm.
good hotel. Like I didn't
Yeah.
mind. I was younger. You didn't mind like traveling and you visit some friends, you stay in a hotel, you
Mhm.
had to order
Mhm.
room
Mhm.
service, I'd sit up in the bed, watch some TV, do some work. I mean, I was constantly working.
Yeah.
And so I liked a good hotel. So that was exciting to me. I don't know what else was going on, but it was like, that's it. I'm going to learn how
Nice.
to buy a hotel. And ironically, so I started, searching. Ironically, I received an email from Andy from
Yes.
NAPA
Yes.
and about the NAPA, the National Association of Hotel Owners,
Mhm.
Operators, and Developers, and they were having a conference in Miami. And I was like,
Mhm.
hey, I have a place in Miami. Now I have a place in Miami. And so I thought it was really ironic though, but it must be the cookies or something, like
Yeah.
but I get this email about this conference, and so I'm like, okay, well, this is a sign. Like, I get this email. How does he know I'm looking at hotels?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Exactly.
so I went, and I'm an introvert, so it was really challenging to say, like, I'm going to go to a place I know nobody. I was in
Yeah.
healthcare, and I was used to going to conferences, and I know everybody, right, or a large amount of
Oh.
people. But I'm like, I'm
Mhm.
going to this thing. I'm just going to figure this out. So anyway, that's how I, started focusing on hotels.
Okay, awesome, awesome. That's
Yeah.
well, one. That's a great story. I didn't know about that you worked in one as a growing up, and it's also interesting that you said some key points, which was educating yourself. And I think that by educating yourself and having an open mind, it kind of gave you the confidence to kind of move forward on this asset class you probably didn't really consider before. Because people of color, we never. I know for me and a lot of folks that I know, you see hotels, but you never think that a black person can actually own a hotel. Not to say that it doesn't happen, obviously,
Right.
but that's not your first initial thought. So it's great.
So the important thing, right? Representation matters. That's why we
Yeah, it
hear that
does.
a lot, and exposure. Because if I would have been exposed to real estate early in my career, then I would have definitely chose real estate, private equity route. I didn't know
Mm-hmm.
about those professions. I didn't even learn about, really understanding the profession of private equity until I moved to New York. So when I graduated from grad
Oh,
school, I moved to New York and I met all the Wall Street people
yes.
and they were coming out of, they were right out of college. And I'm like, well, what do you do? And here I am, a little intern or, resident at this hospital making pennies, like barely
Yeah.
making it in New York City. And
Yeah.
they're like, what is this? I'm like, I wish I would have known about that. So the lesson for me too, though, is I felt at that point it was too late to do something different. And
Hmm.
I was still young. Like you think you're
Yeah.
older. So I always tell people, like, if you pivot, like if you have an inclination for something
Hmm.
that is exciting for you, don't feel like, oh, I already, went to school and I paid all this money and I can't. So for me to change, much later, I really wish I would have understood my
Hmm.
passion. I mean, I had a passion for healthcare too, but I think I would have, just understood myself a little bit better earlier on, and made a pivot earlier than I did.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
ultimately did, but I wish I would have done it earlier. So I had to kind of let go of who I thought I was and become who I needed to be, if that makes
Yes.
sense.
Yes.
So
It
I think
does.
people struggle with that sometimes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree, because it's like you have this internal battle of staying on the course or taking a chance of kind of going after what you really want to go after. It's like that internal battle a little bit that
Yeah.
I think a lot of people go through. So yeah, you're absolutely right, and that's actually great advice. Well, how did you get your first hotel that you actually acquired?
So the first one I went after, so when you talked about getting knowledge, so
Hmm.
I went and got some knowledge. So I had the commercial
Hmm.
real estate background, went to NABHood, tried to look for more information. There wasn't a lot of information out there.
Yeah.
Tried to, never really found a mentor, which I recommend everybody find a mentor. There weren't master classes and things like that on investing in hotels. It was all about who you knew and who was mentoring.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
But I thought I learned enough. Really, I probably didn't, but I thought I knew enough. And sometimes a little naivety goes a long way.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I did NABHood. I read a couple things and reached out to some management companies. I actually ended up going to, they had this development conference that Hilton put together,
Hmm.
and I heard about it at NABHood. And
Okay.
they said, oh, Hilton's doing this thing for women, and but you have to be ready. Like you have to, be ready to invest in a hotel. This is not for new
Okay.
people. And I'm like,
Okay.
I don't know about that. I'm about to, I want to go. So the gentleman who was organizing it, made an announcement or talking about it. And then someone said, no, you wouldn't qualify. You don't, because I didn't know anything. I really didn't. I was
Okay.
green as green about hotels. I knew commercial real estate. I knew I was going
Hmm.
to do syndication, but I didn't know anything about how hotels run or operate. And so I literally harassed this man, to get an invitation. And it was, seating limited, all of that. And he was like, well, here's my card. I think he just was like, here's my card.
Get
Get
away from me.
uh, and so I called him, I emailed him. And so ultimately I did receive an invitation, went to New Orleans. It was like a 2-day. It was amazing because again, I didn't know anything.
Hmm.
So that helped me to get to an understanding of how branding and franchising and all that worked. Um, felt very comfortable that, Hilton was very focused on, women and interested in women franchisees and
Yes.
all of that. So I was like, okay, I got it. I need a little, I don't understand how I'm going to get all this money or get a loan. I think is what I was kind of, they didn't go into the finances that much. I mean,
Okay.
a little
Okay.
bit about finances, but it still wasn't enough. And I don't think they can, as far as being a franchisor, you know,
Yeah.
talk about the financials. Nevertheless, I felt empowered. Okay. When I left there, I felt empowered. Went out, started looking for deals, found a
That's the first
hotel,
thing you do, right? Yeah.
in my hometown of St. Louis, in the suburbs, and,
Okay.
and I got it under contract.
Ah,
Very
awesome.
within, like a year or so, got it under contract. So that was awesome, of course. And then I even got a loan. So
Oh.
the current lender was willing to allow me to assume the loan with one caveat. You have to get an SBA loan. Okay.
Okay.
So SBA, the lender has to give you, like you have to find a lender. There's SBA
Hmm.
504.
Okay.
That's the real estate, owner occupied real estate.
Hmm.
So it's like, you have to get a loan through SBA. So we'll do the lender portion, then you get the SBA that helps to guarantee that that they get paid. Because you're
Hmm.
new, right? You have good business experience and you're impressive, but go ahead and get the SBA loan and we have you. He even flew up here to
Oh,
DC,
wow.
yeah, to meet with me because the bank was located in Missouri. So long story short, I go through that whole process. I got found a management company, a third party management company, everything.
Hmm.
I did the inspections. I put together my PPM, my operating agreement. Like I was doing it by the books. Like
Yeah,
I knew how to
yeah,
legally raise capital because remember, I went to Jean's class,
yeah.
syndication.
That's true.
I read
That's
the
right. That's
books.
right.
I joined
Yeah.
Maui Mastermind. I don't know if you know what Maui Mastermind was, but Maui
Okay.
Mastermind, Diane Kennedy founded it, and Diane Kennedy was Rich Dad Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki's accountant as he accumulated wealth.
Oh,
She
yes,
started
yes.
Maui Mastermind. I had gone to Maui Mastermind twice. Okay. So I was
Wow.
equipped. Like I had all,
Yeah.
I had, I knew how to get this done. I thought
Hmm.
I did anyway. And so I was ready. Like I had made all my plans to go to St. Louis for a month. And, as it got
Hmm. Hmm.
started and
Hmm.
worked with the third party management company. And all I needed was the SBA to say yes. And all along the way, the SBA kept saying, yeah, it looks good, looks good. We just have to go to committee and da da da. And so they drug it out because the government, it takes a
Yeah.
long time for the
Yeah.
SBA loan. At least it did for me. And do you know that they voted 3-2 no?
Oh, wow.
And yes, so I had epic failure, had spent, seemingly a lot of money. At the time, I had some money, but not a lot of money. I mean, I worked for
Yeah.
nonprofits and, I didn't
Yeah.
have a ton of money. I paid for all the legal fees, the inspections, all of it, PPM, all of it. It was
Yeah. Yeah.
ready.
Yeah.
I had an offering memorandum, pictures, everything, all figured out.
Wow.
So yeah, my feelings were very hurt.
Yeah.
Uh,
Of course.
and this was right around the recession and stuff. And so they said, oh, it couldn't be successful. But ultimately it was because someone, who was in the business who had cash and everything bought it. And I knew that the developments that were going to happen, I'd gone to economic
Hmm.
development department, and found out everything that was planned. It was off of a highway that was going to become an interstate, so they were
Hmm. Hmm.
an
Hmm.
exit, like there wasn't an exit like right there. They were putting an exit, like I had researched, I knew everything was about to happen.
Yes. Yes.
And it was a Comfort Inn and Suites, and it was only like $4 million, like that. Those you can't
Yeah.
find
Yeah.
those prices today. Anyway,
Yeah.
I was a failure. So my first one was a failure.
Failure.
Yeah, I felt like my hand was on the doorknob and somebody just knocked it away. And I was broken up with. I mean, the whole thing. Because
Yeah.
I had to exit because they took so long to SBA to say no.
Hmm.
You usually want a quick no. They took so long to say no. I had up to my deadline before I was going to lose my deposit. So I didn't lose my deposit. I
You
lost a lot
did.
of money,
Okay.
but I didn't
Oh,
lose
ouch.
my earnest money deposit. And the guy had a backup offer. So I had to let it go. And I didn't have the wherewithal at that time to know other lenders to go to or, other ways to
Hmm.
make
Hmm.
it happen. So I just retreated right back into my job.
Yeah. Yeah.
And worked, through the job, and it's always on my mind. I still wanted to do it. I still have my rentals.
Hmm.
I hadn't sold anything. I mean, it still actually did really well through the recession because a lot of
Hmm.
people were renting. Rents were
Hmm.
cash flow was solid, and so I was a chief strategy officer for a health system. So I spent a lot of time buying physician practices and, everything, all things strategy, business
Hmm.
development for a health system. So I was pretty busy. So really didn't have time. I'd get listings and things. And when I look back, like that would have been the time, although it was a tough time to get in, that was a
Hmm.
good time to be buying. Just like now is a good
Uh,
to be
yeah.
buying when it's
Yeah.
down, right, is a good time to be
Yeah.
buying. But I was
Yeah.
so
Someone may be
busy,
distressed. Yeah.
working and handling, when I committed, I'm an, officer of this company, I'm committed and I gave everything, you know,
Yeah.
to my position and my role there
Hmm.
and put my job on hold.
Yes.
So anyway, so that's a long way to tell you how I got there, but I did not pursue it again until after I left my job and I had decided like either I'm going to put up or shut up because I still talked all those years.
Yeah.
I still got listings and I would look and I'd be like, how am I possibly going to do this? And then after I had my son, I was like, okay, I cannot, continue to have go back on the road and the jobs and the things that I was doing. what am I going to do? I always thought I wanted to end my career as being a professional investor.
Yes, yes.
But I have not, it took me way too long to get to where I was. But ultimately, I jumped back in, and I became a limited partner in a hotel project
Okay,
first. But
okay.
I really knew already I wanted to be a syndicator, so probably should have just, an opportunity came up, and I took the opportunity to, um, to potentially learn some more.
Yeah,
It didn't necessarily turn out the way I expected it to. Unfortunately, it was disappointing,
yeah.
but um, I did that, and then of course I was always wanting to be a syndicator. So even when I, did the limited partnership, I was consistently looking for deals. And when you're new, it's
Mm,
hard to get in the door, right? To have a broker
yes.
take you seriously, to return your calls, or to get access to good deals.
Yeah, yeah.
It's difficult as you start, but ultimately, I did find a Hampton Inn, ironically, for sale in Maryland, Southern Maryland, an hour from where I lived. And yeah, I said, this is it. Let's do it. So
Yeah.
I was fortunate. There was a woman broker, and
Okay.
whatever reason she believed in me, and was able to advocate for me with the seller. And again, I had all the toolbox, right? I had been
Yeah,
through it,
yeah.
I had studied it, I knew what to do conceptually, So yeah, I went out, I got it under contract. Now, I got it under contract, not knowing how I was going to close, because
Okay.
in syndication, I had done a little bit of syndication on some residential, but that's like doesn't even count. I needed $3.6 million to
No,
close
yeah.
the deal. I didn't want to tell anybody until it was under contract, and until I knew that it was a high probability for success. So I put it under contract on faith, thinking that I studied this syndication and it's gonna work. I
Yeah,
didn't know
yeah.
if it was gonna work.
Yeah.
I only studied it. Like, I didn't know if people were gonna actually
Yeah,
show up. I've talked to people
yeah.
about it. Some people say, yeah, I'd be interested, but people.
Yeah, yeah, I know how it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I put it, out on faith, put it under contract, 3.6 million in equity I needed, but I was able to, identify a loan. And then I just went out and started talking to my sphere, and
Mm-hmm.
they would refer people. And then, yeah, ultimately there was a lot of, barriers, and, uh,
Yeah.
falling down, different things happened along the way. But ultimately, on December 20th, 2017, I closed. And there's a whole story on, the fact that, the lender pulled out, the first
Oh,
lender pulled
wow.
out 3 weeks
Wow.
before closing, or 2 weeks, maybe 2 weeks before closing. I mean, there's a whole bunch of stuff that happened, but I just knew there's something, I just knew that
Yes.
I was going to
Yes.
get this deal closed one way or another. And ultimately it closed. It took a while, because
Yes.
there was a big PIP on it. And I had a disagreement with the seller on how much it would cost to renovate
Mm-hmm.
it. And so, of course, you never want to close a deal not understanding what all the capital costs that are going to be required, for
Of
the
course.
project. And we went back and forth, and we had to get bids and all that. And so they ultimately lowered the price, to match what the actual cost was. But then with the lender issue, but I was able to get another lender, and close only a week late, you know, so,
Ah,
so it all
okay.
worked out. It all worked out. So,
And
but
with that lender, did you use the same one? What was it, the SBA 504 one, or did you use a different type of lender?
yeah,
Okay.
I'm afraid of the SBA. Now, I will try it one day, but the
Yeah.
SBA has not been good to me, unfortunately. I hope that I'll be able to have a love story with the SBA on the next one.
Yeah.
But no, I ended up going to a bridge lender.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
and
Okay. Okay.
and it was expensive. It was an expensive loan, but
Ah.
when you have a big renovation on a project, generally, it's
Mm-hmm.
hard to get permanent financing. The first
Mm.
bank said they could do it, but ultimately, it wasn't a bank actually. The first lender said they could do it. Ultimately, they got nervous about the cost of the PIP. Um,
Okay.
and then they wanted me to bring more money, more equity to the table, to mitigate, their perceived risk. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I barely got to where, where I am today. Are you serious? Right. So that's, so that had to, I had to let that go. And
Okay. Okay.
these
Okay.
guys stepped in, and I've paid them off. So
Yes.
I was able to refinance out of, the bridge loan, and
Yes.
it's variable rate, and yeah, it's bridge loans are not the best, but they're a purpose when, you're buying or you're building or you're, buying something that needs major renovation or
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
repositioning or, something, an opportunistic type of deal. Generally, you're going to use a bridge loan. But I was able to get the bridge loan, but I was definitely nervous the whole time applying for
Yes.
any
Yes.
loan because, they say you have to have a net worth equal to the loan amount. And, there's like
Mm-hmm.
they say out there.
Yeah.
That's probably is evolved over time, but one recommendation I give to people is, I took forever to even step in because of fear of failure,
Mm-hmm.
fear
Mm-hmm.
that, well, how is this going to work, and not having all the answers.
Mm-hmm.
And what I recommend to people is, do your homework,
Mm-hmm.
get comfortable, but you're never going to know everything.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, until you're in it, you're not going to know. You just won't know. And then you won't
That's
know.
true.
You just won't know who's going to show up either. Right? Like,
Yeah.
until you're in it, you can talk about, yeah, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. Some of the people who said they were going to invest did not invest,
Never.
right? The people that were all like excited, yeah, yeah, girl, yes, when you do it, yeah. Mm-mm. Some of the people you think have money sometimes don't have money.
They don't have money. Yeah.
People I would have not thought had money
Yeah.
had
Yeah.
money, like, I'm in, I want, can I get in? And they're like, oh, okay, so you don't prejudge, or you just
Yeah.
have a
Absolutely.
strategy, you offer value, but I think you have to be in it, and you have to have grit and perseverance and all of that,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
when you're going into anything with
Yes.
whatever it is. But you yourself have to make up your mind that you're going to do it. And yeah, I mean, if you don't feel confident in yourself, you're
Yeah.
probably a lot of people hold themselves. I held myself back. I'm not talking about other people. Me, I
Yeah.
held
Yeah.
myself back. I had
Yeah.
beliefs about certain things that held me back. I still have certain beliefs because I want to go to the next level. I'm
Mm-hmm.
still fighting myself around, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
It's
Yeah. I suffer from
possible.
that too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And you say go to the. Do you mind touching on that for a second? Because you said about going to the next level. What is that for, Tracy Prigmore? The next level.
So as I told you, I want to be a professional investor. Like, I want to
Mm-hmm.
help people make their dreams come true. I would love to be an angel investor or a VC, right? I would
Mm-hmm.
love that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not there yet.
Yeah.
I can do that. But for me, next level would be continue to build out my company, in the portfolio of
Mm-hmm.
hotel
Mm-hmm.
assets. I want to add healthcare, medical. I want to focus on just
Oh.
two assets classes. I mean, because you can do so many, but I think
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
really good. I want to focus like on two, pick
Okay.
two. I don't know if I always keep residential. I've been strategically selling my residential.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but, I want to, grow a portfolio, grow an actual company. Right now, I'm like 3 people in the company, right?
Yeah.
It's still solopreneur, level.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
want to grow an actual level 3 company, a portfolio of assets, I want to be, a developer. Uh,
Yeah.
I am a developer now
Well,
on
yeah. Yeah.
a
Yeah.
low
Yeah.
scale. I want to expand that to developing hotels, developing, medical offices, managing, those assets, be an asset
Mm.
manager, and, private equity firm
Yeah. Yeah.
is
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
I go. So it's just a matter of growth. And then for the hotels, I believe that in order to be the successful level that I want to get to, I would like to, and I've been studying this, and haven't made like a go decision yet, but I'd like to form our own management company so that we
Okay.
can, really have control of our success and have our values, instilled in our property. So now when you have a third party manager, it's really,
Hmm. Hmm.
as an owner, you have say, like, you hold them accountable, but it's still their values. The employees are their employees. I have a
Ah,
yeah,
okay.
I have a vision to uplift. You and I have talked about this before.
Yeah.
To uplift a lot of, the employees are our people, right? At
Hmm. 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 Hmm.
lower levels, and I have this vision to uplift people, to have every employee understand the value chain and
Yes.
ownership, right?
Yes. Yes.
I want to be able to have in our, company policy training is that every employee understands how valuable they are. In my opinion, the cleaning crew, the staff, are the most valuable part of the hotel.
Yes. Yes.
You can't have a clean room. To me, we don't have a good product. If
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
we
Basically.
should
Yeah.
never have a dirty, I mean, I should never go into a hotel room and have a complaint about it not being clean. And I have
Correct.
personally, and we've had reviews, and I don't know. That's just something I feel very strong about. Coming from healthcare, we had never events. Like, you wouldn't cut off the wrong arm with you're doing surgery, or, you wouldn't provide somebody with the wrong medication, someone else's,
Correct.
right? Those are never,
Correct.
never events, and they have happened, but there's been many measures QA wise to to improve upon any errors, but those are errors that should never occur. We're all human and we make
Correct.
mistakes. There's some mistakes that just should not happen. So
Happen.
we should have systems in place where there's never a dirty room, and some other things, that
Yes.
I get into. But I have this vision. I see our housekeepers, I see our front desk clerks, everybody, engineer, everybody really understanding their value that they play,
Yes.
in the whole, scheme of the investment, not just the day-to-day operations of the hotel. They
Yes.
understand the investment. And then I want to up that where they have an ownership interest. I don't know how that works yet, but that's
Hmm.
my vision. That's a goal of mine that I would love to see. And the only way that I can deliver on that, I believe, is for us to have our own management company and,
Management company. Yeah.
right. So
Yes. That makes sense.
I can literally see, someone who thought that their only, journey was going to be in housekeeping. And seriously,
Hmm. Hmm.
we
Hmm.
have some
Hmm. Hmm.
15-year, 20-year people that work for, in our company, were there when we bought it,
Oh,
um,
wow.
that, have only done that. Now, again, I don't know them personally because, I'm at the asset management level, not the operations.
Correct. Correct. Correct.
But I bet that we can influence by just educating, because like I said, I was a hot front desk clerk. Can you imagine if
Yeah.
owners
Yeah.
had said to me, "Have you ever thought about owning a hotel?" Oh,
Yeah.
I would have been
Absolutely.
fire. I would have been
Absolutely.
fire.
You know.
Anybody would have talked. They never talked to me about that. It's just
Yeah.
like
Exactly.
smile at the front desk. Okay. Make sure your
Yeah.
cash balance is okay. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, you said it earlier, right? I think you said exposure. I mean, just if those clerks see this young black successful woman coming in, and people start saying, "Who's that?" Oh, that's the owner of the hotel, right? And and you said it earlier too. Representation as well. They're like, it gives them confidence, saying, "Oh, me too. If she can do it, I can do it as well." Then they hear your story that that you actually worked as a clerk just like them in a hotel, and so it just gives them the confidence to maybe dig deeper.
Right. And then if you're going to educate them, that's 10x right there. Like if you're willing
Yes.
to explain to them what it's about, and whether maybe they don't get there, but maybe they tell their children, you know what I mean? Or,
Yes. Yes.
a niece,
Start
a
planting the
nephew.
seeds.
Hey, you can only, I know this lady, and what she's told me is right. So that's my vision. That's what I would like to see happen. So we of course have to grow and get there, and there are
Hmm.
challenges, but
Yeah.
I'm continuously, working on myself and thinking, yes, you can do this, you can do that.
Yes.
And in
Yes.
fact, um, Pedro, the She Has a Deal competition
Mm-hmm.
that we do, some of those women, that came in to pitch, they pitched some pretty, you saw it, they pitched
Oh
some
yeah. Oh yeah.
pretty impressive deals. And when
Yeah.
I had the vision to start She Has a Deal, I was thinking too small. So I was like, well, maybe we'll, give them, 4 deals, and they'll just all analyze them, and whoever pitches the best wins. I
Correct.
didn't,
Correct.
I didn't, I thought it wouldn't be too much for them to go out and find a deal. Okay.
Yeah.
But my team the millennials on the team were like, no, they should go out and find their own deal. Like
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, well, that would be great, but can they? Like, is that possible? Like, that's gonna be hard. It's hard for me to find a deal.
Yeah.
How are
Yeah.
they and I'm like, but I love it. So at that moment, I was like, yes, okay. So we restructured that. That's what they're gonna do. They're gonna go find their own deal. Then I said, well, let's cap it at 25 million. And I'm thinking that they would just, find an acquisition with a PIP
Mhm.
or,
Mhm. Mhm.
something
Mhm.
like that. These women went out there, adaptive reuse, ground up development, brand repositioning for a dual brand. I mean, you saw it. Like
Like,
they
yeah, yeah, the creative mind.
so
Yeah.
they had me like, okay, I'm thinking way too low here. Like I need to 10x like my thoughts and then, figure out the strategies to get there.
Yeah.
But it is, it's like, wow, like $75 million deal. And the new class starts already asking questions about, well, do we have, now we upped it to 50 million. They're like, well, do we have to stay under 50 million? I'm like, look, we're trying to get the we're trying to get the deals done. We're not just
Yeah.
having pie
Yeah.
in the sky. And they're like, oh, we
Yeah.
can't do a $50 million deal. I'm like, hmm, let me think about that.
Well, that's good. Well, can you actually, since you said She Has a Deal, can you actually break that down? The reason why I asked that, because you said earlier too, this is a great time to invest in hotels, and you explain reason why. And then for those that have interest in hotels, how can they learn and share more about what the program is, about She Has a Deal and all that?
So I found it. She Has a Deal because there are the number of women at the ownership level in hotels is very, very small. And no one can really quite tell me what that number is. I've heard less than 1% and less than 2. I don't know. It's small.
Yes, yes,
Go
yes.
to the conferences. I was surprised at how small it was. I started, going to the big conferences and it was just a sea of suits. And then if most of the women, worked for the men in the suits, or they were designers, or they were working for the brands, and that's wonderful too. But what I wanted was for more women to think in terms of becoming, the general partners to building their own ownership companies, being entrepreneurs. So having climbed the corporate ladder, and then knowing that there are many organizations who are helping uplift women to climb the corporate ladder, that's covered. So I knew that's
Yeah.
covered. I feel very strongly that the organizations that are doing that, I'm on the board of one, that they have that covered. But I didn't see where someone was, or there were entities that were helping women become owners, the new glass ceiling, right?
Yes.
Owners. And so that's why I started She Has a Deal, because I felt like my climb was just way too long, way too bumpy. I didn't find a mentor. I could have avoided many mistakes with the proper mentor, with a proper education. And then people were helpful. Don't get me wrong. People were helpful. You could ask. Sometimes you don't know what to ask, what you don't know, right? You have
Yes,
that,
correct.
unconscious incompetence where you don't know what you don't know. And then when I was getting some information, it wasn't in the way that I needed it. Okay. So then other women were coming to me and saying, how did you do it? And, I want to be a hotel owner. I've been to this conference. I've been to that conference, and I don't know what to do. What's the next step? How do I do it?
Yes.
So I could feel their pain in me, because I was like that too. Cause I'm like, okay, I just, it doesn't, I get what they're saying, but I need some more detail.
Yes,
Basically.
yes.
So having that consulting background that I had, we did everything in a framework or methodology as a consultant. I
Yes.
worked for,
Yes.
Deloitte and, other, and I have my own consulting. So we always put something into a framework or a methodology, a straw man, something. You got to frame it. So for me to even understand for myself, I had created a framework for hotel investment. And so I figured maybe that's what they were saying. Like they need,
Yeah.
they need a case study, they need a framework. They couldn't
Framework. Yeah.
they
Yeah.
couldn't articulate it, but I felt like, oh, okay, well, I have this framework and it helped me. Maybe I can share that, since I know there's desire by many women and they're, for whatever reason, finding it difficult to move forward. And I understood that. So that's why I formed She Has a Deal, because I wanted to see more women in the industry. I know that they're capable. It's not that women aren't capable. In fact, there's women that are all throughout hospitality at every level who are brilliant and, have a lot of intelligence to share to be successful, but they're not leading or having their own companies. And so women need to close, we need to close the wealth gap racially. We need to close the wealth gap gender-wise. And many women are staying single longer. Many women aren't getting married for whatever, reasons. So I figured that if more women are, in the leadership, ownership position, we also get more innovation as well. And we get fulfillment of their lives that would be fulfilling. So I wanted to be, part of that change, to be an impetus to help other women get into ownership. So, we had it covered for them to climb the corporate ladder. And now we're covering to help them get to ownership. And then the next level would be, how do the women in the corporate and the women in the owner work together? And serious magic, right? Women supporting women inside and, outside.
Absolutely.
Magical there. So we say our mission is to create new pathways to hotel ownership and development for women. And when I say new pathways, I borrowed that pretty much from Melinda Gates. I was reading an article. It resonated with me because I'm not sure why all the reasons why there aren't more women, or sometimes I think that it's definitely access to capital is a challenge for everybody, but I think there's other reasons. And so through She Has a Deal, we're going to figure out what some of those reasons are. So we're creating new pathways to hotel ownership and development for women. Number one, we're exposing and inspiring women to ownership. So remember, I worked in a hotel, never thought about ownership. No one ever talked to me. No one even mentioned it. They didn't teach me. They didn't even mention it. Okay. So first thing is to just mention it and then show them women owners, right? First step. Second step, when I formed it, was like, we've got to educate them. Right? Like if they don't, you can be inspired, but if there's no, toolkit or to help you get there. So a big part of our foundation is these master classes. So the women, we expose and inspire them, then we educate them. So I use the 9-stage hotel investment roadmap that I had created for myself.
Create for yourself,
I turned it into a curriculum for the women. And it may not be perfect, but it was my viewpoint of all the pieces that it takes to be a sponsor or, syndicate these deals. But even if you decide, I don't want to be a syndicator and I just want to invest, it's still very informative to give you the information on and become a more savvier investor. So we provide the education. So when you saw those women pitching, they didn't just walk off street or school and start pitching. We had worked with them. They went through the master classes, the 9 stages. It goes from finding a deal to putting together your deal thesis, to analyzing your deal, to confirming the feasibility, doing all the financial analysis. But the key is structuring the investment and raising the capital. Where the money comes from. Again, some of these women may have wherewithal, on their own, but anybody who owns hotels, it's a syndication. No one's doing it with their own money. And then we talk about, we don't spend as much time, but on managing the asset once you own it. And then when you're ready to exit, how do you prepare to exit the asset?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
So that's, the 9 stages, and we take them through that. And then we're forming a community, and we
Mm-hmm.
bring luminaries in, industry leaders who can
Mm-hmm.
provide knowledge and wisdom to the women, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So that they have that network upon which to start their journey, because you need
Yes,
many people, it's a village and whatever,
yes.
to get you through to ownership. And so we're introducing them, the luminaries, they, they're introduced to them. We do it, through Zoom, but they're
Mm-hmm.
they're starting to build I'm going to date myself, a Rolodex of contacts in the industry that now know them, at least know their name, and are willing to help them when they're ready, answer
Mm-hmm.
questions for them. And then they have each other. So
Yeah.
I'm working really hard to make sure they get to know each other, so that they can potentially form businesses or collaborations, joint ventures
Yes.
with each other
Yes. Yes.
the journey. So
Yes.
so that's what it is. But lastly, it's deal making. So all the
Yes.
deals that come out of the competition, we want to be able to do the deals. It's
Mm-hmm.
great
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
education and inspiration, but if we're not, achieving our goal of more women hotel
Mm-hmm.
owners and developers, then this is just fun. We're doing it not for fun. Like, we're doing it to transform an industry. It's a movement. Uh,
Absolutely.
so we've created a fund so that we can raise capital to invest, or provide equity for these women-led deals that come out of She Has a Deal. And the
Yes.
winners get $50,000 in deal equity. So
Wow.
the winning team automatically becomes an owner in
Mm-hmm.
their deal, if we can get it done, or in any deal that we do. They're actually part owners in the fund. So
Yes. Yes.
right now, the target is early careers, and I intentionally chose early careers because they haven't really chose their exact pathway, their career pathway.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If
Mm-hmm.
we can, and we have a few women who have pivoted a bit and said, "Oh, I was thinking operations. I kind of like investment. So,
Ah.
I'm going to seek investment type of opportunities so that I put myself on the pathway to ownership,
Okay.
right?"
Okay.
And so some of them, a couple of them changed their major to real estate and development, and,
Okay.
so that they could be positioning themselves. So we wanted to influence them early on to build that pipeline of women.
Yes. Yes.
Um,
Yes.
one of them, the woman, Viviana, who was on the second place team, she is coming to work for me next month,
Oh,
full time.
awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So,
Awesome.
so, and then a couple of women have gone, on. So we're still working on getting the first deal done because
Yeah.
COVID has put a little bit of a,
Yeah. Slow things down a little bit. Yeah.
yeah. But we believe that there'll be some price, value resetting during COVID, and there'll be some opportunities. There always is,
Yes. Yes.
when
And
there's recession or downturn of any type. So so we've started our second class, and
mm-hmm.
the key though is that we have to get the deals done. We have to raise money in this fund, and so we're looking for anyone who wants to earn passive income in hotels,
Mm-hmm.
but also
Mm-hmm.
have a social impact by
Yes.
helping women
Yes.
become owners. And when women have an opportunity, we're definitely going to be helping to transform and uplift the industry.
Yes, yes, awesome, awesome, awesome. That's great. I think I shared when you first told me about the program. I think
Mhm.
I told you about this. I was mad because I'm thinking, where were you when I was in college? You
Mhm.
know, because I mean I know I'm not necessarily a female, but just that program in general, I would have loved to have seen that too. Because I think it's so great that you're given. And just correct me if I'm wrong. When you say early career, that's college student or recent grad kind of or within a few
Correct.
is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
So so it's anyone 3 years, out. It could be undergrad or grad.
Okay.
So
Okay.
initially, I thought we would just target graduate students, but
Okay.
I shared my original draft with an undergrad and who
Yes.
said, no, 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 we need an opportunity too. We don't, let undergrads do it. Let a person, select themselves in. And yeah, there were undergrads who made the finals. And so
Yes.
undergrad, grads, anybody out of school within 3 years. But the exciting thing is that we're going to be adding today's woman, meaning mid-career, senior career women.
Oh,
So we'll have another
really?
track coming up soon. So stay tuned for an announcement on that. So I've always
Okay.
wanted to do that too. We have to raise more sponsor
Hmm.
dollars to be able to do
Yeah,
that.
to do that.
But
Yeah.
I'm working toward being able to add an additional track. So,
Okay.
but the way that that's going to work is we have our master classes that are open to anyone. So the people in the pitch competition go through a master class and they have their separate master class. But we
Okay.
teach the same master class with a little bit of a twist, which is where it's really a master class and coaching. So
Okay. Okay.
that class, that's for anybody. We have
Okay.
male, because I want to see more Black people
Yeah. Yeah.
as well.
Absolutely.
And so we focus on women, which she has a deal, but SHAD is for anybody, who wants to, that aspires to become a sponsor or
Hmm.
become a more savvier investor. If they may
Hmm.
have one hotel investment, they might want more. So those master classes, we had our first class that started back in April. We finished in the summer. This new
Hmm.
class starting, it starts this month. Well, it actually is continuous. So there's
Okay.
a self-study portion. So that
Hmm.
it's on a platform. We have a learning platform. But the element that I'm most excited about is the coaching aspect. So
Okay.
as I looked at what we did over this, over the summer, during COVID and all, and it was good. We got good feedback.
Hmm.
I knew it needed improvement. I knew it needed
Yes.
more. But what dawned on me was, our vision and our goal is more owners. We can't just have a class and not make sure those people get to be owners. So
Yes. Exactly.
I morphed it to be a coaching masterclass. So you get the self-study and it's always available for you. There's tools and templates on the platform.
Yes.
We also have, and we have this summer, live master classes where I bring in the luminaries to
Yeah.
provide
Yeah. Yeah.
knowledge. But the third piece, the important piece, is that I'm coaching and connecting them with people in the
Hmm.
field so that they can actually meet their goals. So instead of me
Yes.
telling them you need goals, you need to understand your why. I'm saying write it down and send it to me. I'm going to review
Yes.
it and I'm going to hold you accountable over the next 6 months, however long it takes us to get through, you to get through, because I think in 12 to 18 months we should be able to, the people who are serious, because
Hmm.
sometimes
Hmm.
people
Hmm.
get in and they're like, it's not for me, and that's okay. But I think maybe 50% of the people who go through the master class who definitely want to do it, I should be able to help them do it.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
So
Yes. Yes.
the way we're looking at it is that we would align this today's woman, and maybe we'll end up with today's man too. Um, but we would align that with um, people in the master class.
Yes.
And that we would look at working together collaboratively. So the class is, a nice manageable size. We would look to make it more like collaborative. Like how can each of us help one another? Maybe, each person does their own deal, or maybe we do a deal together,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
The goal is to get them to ownership or whatever it is for them. If they say, I want to be a sponsor, I want to, in 12 to 18 months, get them in a position to be a sponsor. Even if they can't sponsor on their own, co-sponsor,
Yes.
coaching
Yes.
somebody, either myself, my company, or maybe we connect them with somebody else, or what
Yes.
the goal is. 12 to 18 months. I think everyone who goes to the class who decides to can be a sponsor, or at the minimum an investor,
Investor. Yes.
in the deal, or have ownership interest in a deal. So this class
Yes.
is really important, and I have a lot of backing, that for resourcing. We're working
Hmm.
on
Hmm. Hmm.
sponsorship so we can carry out the entire vision. But the class, we already have people enrolled in the class. I'm going to be
Wow. Awesome.
today to get ready and give them the calendar of, who's speaking. But we record them all, so anybody can come in at any time. But I suggest, people start with us and make a goal. If you say, I want to be a sponsor, Tracy, I'm like, okay, I'm going to hold you accountable in 18 months. And, you're going to be a sponsor.
Yes.
Or somewhere
Yes.
thereafter, because now is the time to go hunting for deals.
For opportunities. Yeah.
Not a good deal was hard to find.
Yeah.
Now I believe, they're out. There's not a ton of them yet. There may not be a ton, but I'm sure that there are a few good options for a person who's willing to do the work.
Absolutely. And in the pitch competition for She Has a Deal is slated to be when, right? Is it June 5th of this year?
Right. So, so we do go through a prelim, which is online, and that's the private. We just do that between the judges and participants. But then on June 5th, we'll be at the I think it's the Grand Hyatt in Tyson's Corner.
Okay.
I'm like, is it a Grand Hyatt or a Hyatt Centric? I'm sorry. It's a nice Hyatt.
Okay.
We'll start off at the Hilton Innovation Gallery, which is where we did the competition in 2020. And that's where the pitch competition will be. And then we'll move over to the Hyatt in Tyson's Corner for a luncheon, a celebratory luncheon, where we'll, celebrate the women who have participated and, celebrate women in the industry and have networking and just have a good time. So Hyatt has become one of our sponsors this year. So we're excited that Hyatt joined on. So we're very grateful to Marriott, who was there from day one as a founding sponsor. Hilton has been there from day one. Choice joined us, and now Hyatt. We're talking to others. So I'm really excited. It's becoming more than, it was really my pay it forward passion project, but this is, you'll see it become a business, of its own. It's a nonprofit. It's a business. So it's exciting. The prospects. So we're just looking for, people to support, people to join the community who have that aspiration as well.
Awesome. Well, if someone is interested, how can they reach out or find more information about the program as well as your investment company too?
Sure. So shehasadeal.com is where you can find all about She Has a Deal, the pitch competition. Applications aren't open for, we just closed applications for 2021, but you can, subscribe, and you'll of course get all the information about what we're doing from, we have Shad Talks, which are, just complimentary 30-minute education sessions that give you a taste. But you can also go on and look under education and find out about all of our different master classes, and then see the replays of the Shad Talks. But it's shehasadeal.com. You can register for information for the fund. We'll be launching, officially launching. We already have some investors, but we'll officially launch to the public the fund next month. And so you can get on the wait list for that. So you receive that information. And then my firm is TLTsolutions.net. So TLTsolutions.net. And if you want to schedule time to chat, it's /book. So TLTsolutions.net/book. You can schedule time. I do little 15-minute chats to, just understand if people want to talk anything, all things real estate, or talk about the fund, or even talk about, She Has a Deal. To give a few minutes to talk about that, but definitely subscribe and follow us, and you'll see all the great things that we're doing. We have 23 participants this year.
Awesome.
We'll be introducing. Well, we started introducing them this week to. And they'll be able to, we're basically chart their journey to the final.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That is amazing. Awesome. Well, Tracy, thank you so much for chatting with me today. You shared a lot of great gems. I hope, one, you shared a lot of great gems just for personally, to focus on the mental, as well as a lot of great gems for educating folks about hotel investment as well as real estate investment. So thank you so much for hopping on here, sharing all this information. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me. All right.
No problem. Talk to you soon.
Okay. Bye-bye.